Greetings. Welcome to Dr. English's Book Lovers Book Club. I'm Dr. English and I teach English. This week I'm going to review the book The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. First of all, I want to say, like many other writers who borrow from other older stories or mythology, Renee Ahdieh is no different. This is a modern compilation of what I consider 1001 Nights, the Arabian Nights, which is Shirazdi. I think that's pronounced right. I looked it up too, Shirazdi, and so I think it's even the main character's name is Sharzad, which is a form of Shirazdi, and so that as soon as I started reading, I thought this is 1001 Nights, the Arabian Nights retold. And so Sharzad is very angry. Her whole family's angry, and her friends Tariq and Rahim are all on a mission, to seek vengeance for the death of Shiva, their friend, and who was sacrificed to the king, the King of Kings. She keeps saying, and so she volunteers to go, and so. And she knows full well that he's, going to execute, he executed Shiva and he's going to execute her. And not unlike 1001 Nights, she begins a tale. And so what I think Ahdieh did really well with this is, like, she's very good at telling the tale of this. And so I guess, the twist in the plot to this book is, she absolutely loathes him, and, he has his way with her, and there's no kind of emotion involved in it. But then through the book is really the buildup, how she continues to stay alive, because she keeps telling the stories to the king, he's just a young boy, really, to stay alive. And then there's this backstory of these other, nomadic tribes, and Tariq and others who are, they would like to rescue her, but they can't do they can't do that by themselves. So there's some of this, what I call, people who are trying to help Tariq, because Tariq knows that there's no way that how is he gonna get to her with all the palace guards and everything that are there in this beautiful place. And so that's the part I think is kind of a great twist, is that she continues to tell the story, but then it's like you begin to think, well, does Khalid, does he have feelings for her? She's beautiful, of course, and so but she is also, she's very, very intelligent, and I think that he's kind of enamored of her, in her intelligence, her ability to always just speak bluntly about everything. And she's not afraid to, say, here are the things that you're doing. And so, and she has this, Greek servant girl, and that, is really a fun character. I like that the author put this person in there, kind of a foil, or she's the person that he's like the jester, the court jester in the story. And I really like that she did that with this book. So I feel like there's a few things that she adds, to these idea of the 1001 Nights and the stories that gave us, like Aladdin and Ali Baba and Sinbad. And so she doesn't name those things in here, but it's like she takes the stories and makes them her own. And I find that, fascinating, that, that she took ancient stories, and like I said, right down to the name of Sharzad, which is a form of Shirazdi. And so, the reader, someone who's read a lot, pick up on that right away. Newer readers might not. Maybe they've never heard of the 1001 Nights. But I absolutely love that. And so basically the story is just like how this, Shahrazad just hates him with a vengeance because of what happened to Shiva. And then you just see she does a really good job of this gradual development of these two characters, and that what's going on between the two of them. And sometimes I just get annoyed, because it's like she still has these, this utter hatred of him, But then it's like, because they're, human beings, there's this whole element of lust in the story. It's nothing that is, questionable. There's not really anything, there's nothing explicit in this, but it's really clear as the reader that she's fighting what this physical attraction is to him. And she gets to know his story. So that's the part that I think is the kicker, is like, she didn't know anything about his story. And in this, you get, the story of what Khalid's life has been like with his own parents. And so I feel like that's the part that makes it really intriguing for me as a reader. It's like, oh, but I will say one thing. I'm gonna, get ready to share a passage that will really pique your interest. One of the things I really did not like about this book was the ending. I was so mad I almost threw the book across the room. I'm like, what kind of ending is this? So, Renee Ahdieh, I would, of course, now I know that she carries on the story. She's got sequels. But if this was just a standalone book, I would be so angry, because I was just like, this is no ending. So that's my biggest critique of this book, is like, I was really disgusted about the ending. And then I thought, oh, wait, she's probably got some other sequel to this story, which she does. I'm assuming it's a sequel and not another standalone. So here's the passage I'm going to read. Shahrazad tensed her grip on the weapon still knocked at her side. She inhaled, preparing to fire, and the frayed sinew came undone at one end. Such a worthless coward. You are remarkable. Every day I think I'm going to be surprised by how remarkable you are, but I am not. Because this is what it means to be you. It means knowing no bounds, being limitless in all that you do. With each word he broke past every barrier, every wall, and Shahrazad's will fought him, screamed a silent scream, while her heart welcomed the intrusion of a songbird, as a songbird welcomes the dawn, as the dying find grace in an answered prayer. She closed her eyes, clenching the useless bow and arrow. Shiva. When she opened them again, he was standing before her. I didn't like it when you called me your friend, he said, a light in his amber eyes. He raised both palms to either side of her face, angling her chin upward. Do you prefer my king or Saidi? She choked in dry disgust. He leaned forward, his brow almost brushing against hers. I prefer Khalid. Shahrazad swallowed. What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me, you plague of a girl? He whispered. If I am a plague, then you should keep your distance, unless you plan on being destroyed. The weapon still in her grasp, she shoved against his chest. No, his hands dropped to her waist. Destroy me. The bow and arrow clattered to the ground as he brought his mouth to hers, and there was no turning back. She was drowning in sandalwood and sunlight. Time ceased to be more than an ocean. Her lips were hers one moment, and then they were his. The taste of him on her tongue was like sun-warmed honey, like cool water sliding down her parched throat, like the promise of all her tomorrows in a single sigh. When he wound her fingers in his hair to draw her body against his, he stilled for breath, and she knew, as he knew, that they were lost forever. And this kiss that would change everything. So I will leave you with the thoughts of that kiss. I would definitely do this as a book club book. I would do it maybe for sure. Students could, if you have book talks in your classroom, I would definitely, give this as a suggestion for a student to do as a book talk. Because if you love the Arabian Nights, the 1001 Nights, this is definitely a book that you'll want to encourage students to read. And if students don't know about 1001 Nights, you can give this book to them and say, this is a modern rendition of 1001 Nights, and maybe that might lead them to go and find a copy, of 1001 Nights, to understand something about what is like the golden era. This Persian kind of Middle Eastern, kind of Asian, Arabia, kind of, it's back in the day, it used to be Arabia. And so it's really the golden era of that whole, empire, because it really was. There was so much opulence. And so I would, suggest that, you would, let students know that this is a modern contemporary version, and then go seek out the original and read them. And so it's really well written. But like I said, my only complaint was I did not like the ending. And but I suppose if I read the next book, I might say, oh yeah, yeah, this is why she did that. Um, so definitely, I would definitely do it as book clubs, or give them put them on your shelf and encourage students to read them. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.